What's holding you back right now from landing more high value clients? One thing likely could be your messaging. And we see this a lot with consultants that we work with in our Clarity coaching program. They often are thinking they need more leads, right? They need more opportunities. They think there's something wrong with their marketing, and there often is, but it's not the marketing tactic itself. It's usually not, oh, hey, go on LinkedIn, or you need to speak this or that, or go to this place, or write this article. Those are all tactics. Those are all things that should be part of an overall strategy. But a more fundamental challenge that many people have, and they often don't see it, is their messaging. So in this video, what I'm going to do is share with you, and maybe some of you are going to be listening to this audio, so you won't see the video, but that's okay because I'm going to still talk you through it. You're all good. But let me share with you several considerations and several kind of factors and elements that can either hold your messaging back from getting the response that you want and therefore being less effective, and what you can do to shift it to see higher levels of response, meaning that when you put your message in front of ideal clients, when you send emails or messages on LinkedIn, or people come to your website, or you meet somebody at an event and they say, what do you do? Overall, your messaging will resonate more. It'll attract the attention and interest of your ideal clients, so they want to have a conversation with you. And therefore, all of the marketing that you end up doing will tend to be more effective, right, as a result. So the first kind of mistake that people make is their messaging is far too broad. Their messaging is talking to many different people. It's speaking to many different problems. It's offering many different solutions. An example of that might be saying something like, we help small businesses with their marketing and their technology and their accounting to grow their business, blah, 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 right? It's like, well, what does that even mean, right? That you're saying you help out so many different types of people, right? And kind of businesses, like a small business, that's a very large market, and certainly includes different stages of people. All right, hard to define. And then you're saying that you do a lot of different things, you solve a lot of potentially different problems. Like it's too broad. And when you're too broad, what ends up happening is that it's very hard for people to actually remember what you do. But the other part of it is that they don't view you as a specialist. They end up seeing you as a generalist. And so typically the person that is seeing or hearing your message is not going to have all those issues anyways. And so when somebody else comes along, right, aka your competitors, and they are much more focused, and they say, like, we solve this one problem, right? And we help this specific type of person or organization, and we create this specific kind of result, and that all aligns with what that person actually wants. They're going to win that business, day over day or day after day, they'll be winning that business a lot more than you will. So that's one really important thing for you to audit right now and to think about is my messaging right now trying to speak to too many different people? Is my messaging talking about multiple different problems that we solve? Is my messaging saying that we create all kinds of different results? And if you're seeing that appear in your messaging, then you're likely watering it down too much. It's too broad, it's too unfocused, and therefore it will not be as effective as it can be. Number two, are you using commodity language? And by that, I'm referring to when you see people say things like, we care more, or we provide top quality, or, the highest level service. It's kind of like, it's jargon, it's cute, fuzzy words. But the problem with it is that, sure, you might truly believe that you offer the best quality, or that you offer the highest level of customer service, fill in the blank, right? All that kind of stuff. But everybody says that. And when everybody says that, it means that nobody actually stands out, because it's all commodity, right? It's the same. And even though it could be true, it doesn't matter if everybody else is saying the same thing, because there's no differentiation, there's no distinction, there's no true advantage to you, because that language has now become commoditized. And again, do a bit of an analysis or an audit of your language. And if you're using words that other people can easily use and are using, you should consider making some changes there. Another aspect of messaging, which I need to raise, and this has certainly become more common over the last many years with the advancement of technology and automations, and even more so now with AI, right? Artificial intelligence, is the lack of personalization. But a lot of consulting business owners have this belief that volume is more important than value. Now, they don't think about it that way. They just think, I need to get in front of more people. And I'll just be very direct here, and so I'll say this respectfully, but a lot of you are lazy, right? You are trying to see a result by doing the least amount of work possible. The problem with that is, one, being lazy. So specific example, not personalizing messages to the people that you are sending them to. They can tell. So your overall response will be lower, because they know that you've sent that message to many people. It doesn't resonate with them because it's not personalized, and therefore they don't respond. So Yes, you might get that message in front of 500 people by clicking one button, but if you have almost nobody responding to you, then is it actually worth it? And then the other kind of consideration is, well, what happens if your competitors are doing the opposite? What if your competitors are actually sending personalized messages? And so now they're winning business away from you because the people that they're communicating with are responding more to them and less to you because they're taking the time to personalize. Now, if we just look at the math for a moment, think about you sending 500 messages by pushing one button and you get 2 responses out of that 500. You might go, okay, well, like that's, I've reached a lot of people, but you only got 2 responses. Now, imagine that instead you send 30 messages but you do them all personalized and you spend more time on each of them, but instead of getting 2 responses, you get 5 responses or 8 responses. So now the question is, was it better for you to spend a lot less time by pushing one button and reaching 5 people, or reaching 500 people but only getting 2 responses? Or was it better for you to spend more time right up front, but you got 5 or 8 people responding to you, right? Which of those outcomes would you want? And would it therefore be worth you spending a bit more time up front to get a higher level response? And my suggestion to that, or my observation on that, is that yes, you should be okay with spending more time up front when you get a better overall response. And even though it might take you more time, ultimately, what do you want? Right? You want more clients, you want more conversations. To have more conversation, you need to get more response from your marketing and from your outreaches and from your follow-ups and from everything that you're doing. So focus on what is effective, not on what is productive, right? You can be productive and get a lot of stuff done, but if you're not getting the right stuff done, then it doesn't matter, right? So your focus, in fact, should be on value, not on volume, right? Value over volume all day long. So beware of a lack of personalization. The other thing that often comes up when we talk about messaging is that people are focusing on a solution that the buyer doesn't see or doesn't really want. That might show up along the lines of you're talking about how you solve problem X or you deliver result Y, but if the buyer or the marketplace doesn't care about those things, even though those things might be the core issue, but if they don't see that, and if you don't do enough education, right, to educate them that that is the real issue, maybe they believe that what the problem is A and they actually want B, but you're talking about X and Y. So your language is not going to match. And even though you might be correct, even though you're the expert and you know the truth, you need to meet buyers where they are. You need to use, and you should use, language that is going to resonate with them, because the purpose of your marketing is not to win business. The purpose of your marketing and your messaging is simply to get the attention and interest of your ideal clients, to create visibility, right, and awareness, so that they want to have a conversation with you at some point. And then when they have that conversation with you, that's when you can really start to explain to them and say, a lot of people think that A and B are the issue or the opportunity, but here's what we found. It's actually X and Y. And now, right, you can have that conversation. But if you're leading with something they don't see in your marketing, you're likely not going to see the kind of response and results that you want. This is my next point here to share with you, is very similar to the previous, but it's what I call inputs and outcomes. Many consultants in their messaging talk about inputs, and this is also true about their proposals. Their proposals are filled with, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do these interviews, this discovery, so on and so forth. They talk about all these things they're going to do, but they don't talk enough about what the result and the outcome and the value will be for the client from doing those things. So here's an example. Let's say that you go in and you're doing a bunch of interviews inside the organization, right? You're going to talk about that. You're going to do a 360-degree review. You're going to have interviews or assessments with a whole bunch of team members. Fantastic. But that's not what the buyer wants. There's no buyer that I know that wakes up going, oh, I just can't wait to go through all these assessments, or I can't wait to just sit in this workshop. And you might say, no, I'm excited about workshops at times. I'd challenge you and say, no, you're not excited about the workshop. You're excited about what you're going to learn and then gain from the workshop, right? The same thing if the interviews that you're going to be kind of going through, or the client will be going through, they don't want the interviews. They want what they will get from the interviews. How will that make them better? What will they learn from that will help them to solve their problem or to get the result that they want? So it's not just the input, right? It is the outcome from the input that the client wants. And you want to make sure that's in your messaging. The next thing is credibility, and often a lack of credibility. And this is not something that necessarily is going to go directly into your messaging, but it should support your messaging. So think about case studies, testimonials, any kind of data that you have. The more that you can, logos, all this kind of stuff, the more proof points and credibility that you have, that supports your messaging. Because when a client sees your messaging, if you're making some claims in there, or you're just saying, we help this type of person to create this kind of result, we solve these problems, right, so on and so on, that's just, it's your word, and they can take it, but they may not fully believe it. But when you have proof, when there's a testimonial or some case studies around that, it helps to substantiate and to almost kind of verify or validate in the mind of the buyer that what you're saying is actually true. And now it becomes much more compelling and more powerful. So if you don't already have credibility proof elements, that's something that you want to think about getting in place. Now, the final idea that I will share with you here for today is that your messaging should not be set in stone. And what I mean by that is that if the messaging that you're using today is the exact same message that you've been using a year ago, you're likely not getting the full or not seeing the full potential of what your messaging could do. And the reason for that is the world and what your buyers are going through today is likely different than what they were thinking about and what was going on 12 months ago. And so your messaging, if it doesn't reflect the new realities, if it doesn't reflect the new challenges, if it doesn't reflect what your marketplace and the buyer that you're targeting, the ideal client that you're targeting, if it doesn't reflect what they're actively thinking about and what they want help with or what the desires that they have, then your messaging will not be as effective as you want. Right? Therefore, make sure that you evolve your messaging. Your messaging is not set in stone. It should evolve. The most successful consultants, and we see this with all of our clients in the Clarity Coaching Program that have been with us for, in some cases, many, many years, their messaging today is very different than it was 2 years ago or 5 years ago. And that's because they need to evolve it, because the world evolves, right? Their business evolves. It's not only about what's happening in the marketplace, it's also happening, related to what your goals are and what your business focus is. So there needs to be a convergence or an overlay of those two, right? Where's your business at? What are your goals? What's the business model? Have there been changes there? What's the reality of the marketplace, the world? What are your clients thinking? What's top of mind for them? Your messaging needs to reflect that. So even though you might say, well, I have messaging that worked for me 12 months ago or 24 months ago, but I've now noticed that I'm getting fewer leads today, or people aren't responding as much to what I sent, even though I'm sending the same thing that used to work. Well, exactly. It's because it used to work. Just because it used to work doesn't mean that it's going to work today as well. And so if you want some help, if you want an analysis of what's going on inside your business, where the opportunities are, how to overcome the challenges, the roadblocks, the obstacles, so that you can have messaging and marketing that helps you to bring in a consistent flow of leads and opportunities into your business that are high value, then go to consultingsuccess.com or click on the link below this video or somewhere on the page where you are consuming this and get in touch. We'll be happy to help you. This is the kind of stuff that we do with our clients every single day in the Clarity Coaching Program. And I hope that you have found this video and content helpful. If you have any suggestions of topics that you want me to explore in an upcoming session like this, just put it again somewhere on this page below, and really appreciate you tuning in.